To the eyes of time, the human body seems to slowly succumb to the natural laws of aging. But what few know is that, even in the face of the relentless march of years, there exists a select group of individuals who defy statistics, science, and medical prognoses. At 80 years old or more, they walk with firmness, lift heavy objects with ease, and display a vitality that rivals people 30 or 40 years younger. Who are they? What do they do differently? And above all, how can you follow the same path? Studies reveal that it's possible to lose up to 50% of muscle mass by age 80 compared to youth. This loss, known as sarcopenia, affects millions of elderly people worldwide, compromising autonomy and exposing them to serious risks. Around 300,000 seniors are hospitalized annually due to falls directly linked to muscle weakness. Sarcopenia is a silent threat that undermines the independence, self-esteem, and quality of life of countless individuals. However, not everyone follows this pattern. The so-called super-elderly have been challenging traditional understanding of aging. In various studies conducted by renowned institutions such as the Mayo Clinic, Columbia University, and Harvard Medical School, researchers have observed that many seniors maintain surprising muscle strength, coordination, and physical endurance. Some of them demonstrate performance superior to individuals half their chronological age. These super-elderly are not the result of blessed genetics, nor of miracle diets or obscure secrets. Instead, they apply practical, scientifically proven strategies that, when implemented with discipline, can literally reverse years of muscle loss. If you're watching this content right now, know that there's something very important that could change the course of your health in the coming years. But before we continue, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and leave your like. Our content is based on the latest scientific discoveries to help you live with more strength, vitality, and autonomy, regardless of age. Let's embark on this journey together. To understand what makes these super-elderly different, we need to look at a series of habits that, when integrated into a routine, promote real gains in muscle mass and strength. The first point lies in how the body responds to stress. Science calls it hormesis, the phenomenon by which small doses of physical or metabolic stressors trigger beneficial adaptations. This happens, for example, when the body is briefly exposed to extreme temperatures or short periods of fasting. Studies from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging show that short sessions of cold exposure, such as taking a cold shower for 30 to 60 seconds, activate brown fat, increase mitochondrial biogenesis, and stimulate hormones like adiponectin, which protect muscles from degradation. On the other hand, regular sauna use, as observed in a Finnish study, can reduce muscle mass loss by up to 40% over a 10-year period, thanks to the activation of heat shock proteins that aid in cellular repair. Another stressor widely overlooked by most healthcare professionals is intermittent fasting. Unlike calorie restriction diets, intermittent fasting, practiced, for example, with eating windows of 8 to 10 hours, stimulates a process called autophagy, in which the body eliminates damaged cellular components, improving muscle function and mitochondrial performance. In just 12 weeks, individuals over 70 showed up to a 10% improvement in muscle function without significant weight loss. Beyond environmental and dietary stressors, there's a habit extremely common among the super-elderly: the use of vigorous muscle contractions in short-duration exercises. This practice, known as supramaximal isometry, involves applying maximum force against an immovable object for a few seconds. Despite its brevity, this exercise sends powerful signals to muscle cells, activating protein synthesis and preventing muscle atrophy, all without overloading the joints. The secret to the effectiveness of these stimuli lies in their intensity and short duration, followed by adequate recovery. When properly applied, they activate longevity genes like those in the FOXO and SIRT families, associated with muscle and metabolic preservation. The super elderly not only apply these principles, but also adapt them intelligently to their reality, respecting their limits and progressively increasing intensity. However, stimulating muscles isn't enough if the body lacks the raw materials to rebuild them. Protein is fundamental in this process, but what most people overlook is that the timing of protein consumption throughout the day can be more important than the total amount. Recent studies indicate that consuming 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at each meal, spread across breakfast, lunch, and dinner, promotes up to 25% more muscle synthesis than consuming all the protein only at dinner. The reason lies in anabolic resistance, a phenomenon in which the aging body becomes less efficient at utilizing protein. The ideal approach, therefore, is to maintain constant stimuli throughout the day, optimizing the anabolic windows that occur in the 3 to 4 hours after each meal, including eggs, Greek yogurt, protein smoothies at breakfast, and lean proteins like fish, chicken, and legumes in main meals is a key strategy used by many super elderly. Another critical element is vitamin D. Over 80% of seniors have insufficient levels of this nutrient, which compromises not only bone health, but also muscle strength, coordination, and reaction time. Vitamin D activates specific receptors in muscle cells that directly stimulate protein synthesis and muscle tissue regeneration. Studies show that seniors with optimal vitamin D levels, above 40 ng/ml, exhibit up to 25% more strength and are less prone to falls. Natural vitamin D production by the skin decreases with age, making supplementation necessary. The common recommendation of 600 IU daily is often insufficient. Experts suggest 2,000 to 4,000 IU per day to reach optimal levels, adjusted based on blood tests. It's also essential to balance vitamin D with vitamin K2, found in fermented foods and animal products, to ensure calcium goes to the bones and doesn't accumulate in the arteries. Now let's turn to a silent yet devastating component: chronic inflammation. Many seniors live with elevated levels of low-grade inflammation without realizing it. This condition, called inflammaging, degrades muscle tissue and blocks anabolic signals essential for muscle regeneration. Studies from Tufts University revealed that seniors with high levels of C-reactive protein, an inflammatory marker, lose muscle 3 times faster than those with low levels, regardless of diet or exercise. Sleeping well, improving gut health, and practicing controlled intensity exercise are the 3 pillars for reducing inflammation. Super elderly prioritize quality sleep, 7 to 8 hours per night, consume over 30 different types of vegetables weekly to promote gut microbiota diversity, and avoid overtraining, opting for walks, moderate exercises, and intense sessions only a few times a week. The use of natural anti-inflammatory compounds like omega-3, curcumin, and polyphenols is also common. These strategies form the foundation that sets the super elderly apart from their peers of the same age. They aren't Olympic athletes or living isolated in labs. They are ordinary people who chose to apply practical science to their routines. The good news is that you can do the same, and it all starts with the first step. There's a less visible yet fundamental element that distinguishes those who age with strength from those who face progressive decline: attention to micronutrients. Most nutritional advice tends to focus on macronutrients like proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, but the super elderly understand that without adequate levels of essential vitamins and minerals, even a good protein intake can be ineffective. Among the most neglected is magnesium, a mineral vital for over 300 biochemical reactions in the body, many directly tied to muscle contraction and relaxation. Research from the University of Vermont indicates that about 70% of seniors have magnesium deficiency, which can severely limit their strength and performance. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition revealed that seniors with optimal magnesium levels showed a 30% increase in grip strength and better overall physical performance. To address this deficit, super elderly prioritize foods like dark leafy greens, seeds, nuts, and cocoa, in addition to using highly absorbable forms of supplementation, such as magnesium glycinate or threonate, which cross the blood-brain barrier more effectively and offer both muscular and cognitive benefits. Another supplement revolutionizing muscle health is creatine. Though popular among young bodybuilders, it offers even more impressive benefits for seniors. A study from McMaster University revealed that older adults supplementing with 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily not only increased muscle mass, but also saw significant gains in cognitive function. Creatine works by promoting a more hydrated and energized cellular environment, enhancing the anabolic response to training and slowing muscle degeneration. Vitamin B12, especially in its methylated form, methylcobalamin, also stands out. Absorption of this vitamin drops sharply with age, particularly in people using medications like metformin or proton pump inhibitors, common drugs among seniors. B12 deficiency negatively impacts cellular energy production and nerve conduction, two factors essential for muscle movement. Super elderly often monitor their levels through tests and supplement strategically, maintaining their neural vitality. Other cofactor minerals like zinc, selenium, and chromium play key roles in insulin sensitivity and protein synthesis. Research from Tufts University showed that seniors with good levels of these elements preserved up to 22% more muscle mass over 5 years compared to those with untreated deficiencies. Instead of relying on generic multivitamins, super elderly conduct specific micronutrient tests and adjust their supplementation with surgical precision, meeting their real biochemical needs and avoiding waste. But muscle strength doesn't depend solely on the health of the muscle fibers themselves. A less targeted yet absolutely decisive component is the neuromuscular junctions, the connections between nerves and muscles. Over the years, these connections weaken, and the brain loses its ability to effectively recruit muscle fibers, even when protein and exercise are adequate. This decline can begin as early as age 60 and accelerate if not addressed. The super elderly stand out by adopting practices that preserve and even reactivate these connections. One such practice is engaging in activities requiring precision, rhythm, and neuromuscular coordination. Dance, tai chi, table tennis, and even ping pong challenge the brain to communicate with muscles in a refined, synchronized way. A study published in the Journal of Physiology in 2020 showed that seniors performing such activities twice a week improved neuromuscular junction integrity by 31% compared to those limited to walking or conventional weightlifting. Another underexplored factor is the role of compounds like alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine, which protect nerves from oxidative stress and promote more efficient brain-muscle communication. Super elderly also use specific vitamin B1 derivatives, such as benfotiamine and sulbutamine, as well as extracts from Chinese club moss that boost acetylcholine production, a key neurotransmitter in muscle contraction. There's yet another surprising resource, the use of breathing techniques to activate the vagus nerve, which directly influences muscle tone and the parasympathetic nervous system response. The box breathing technique, inhaling for 4 seconds, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding again for 4, performed for just 5 minutes daily, showed up to a 15% increase in neural muscle activation. Cognitively, mental engagement also directly connects to physical strength. A Columbia University study showed that seniors involved in strategy games, puzzles, or any form of complex reasoning exhibited significantly greater muscle strength than those who didn't exercise their minds. This is due to the neural interconnection between brain regions involved in motor planning and muscle coordination. But there's one habit that stands out as the most powerful of all. The practice that, according to Tufts University scientists, is considered the most effective anti-aging intervention today: progressive resistance training. This approach isn't about light walks or repeating the same activities week after week. The difference lies in progression, in controlled increases in intensity, in respecting the use it or lose it principle. Super elderly who maintain muscle strength comparable to 40-year-olds dedicate themselves to exercises that truly challenge their muscles. They follow protocols involving challenging weights, performed safely and progressively, focusing not just on repetitions, but on nearing muscle failure, the point where another repetition with proper form is no longer possible. This intense stimulus triggers anabolic responses that keep muscle mass active for up to 72 hours post-workout. Another pillar is the use of compound movements, like squats, rows, deadlifts, and presses, which engage multiple muscle groups simultaneously and promote greater hormonal release. Unlike isolated exercises, these movements challenge the body as an integrated system, crucial for maintaining functionality over the years. Additionally, super elderly apply the principle of progressive overload, systematically increasing the load or difficulty of exercises over time. Using the same weights indefinitely leads to plateaus. Small, continuous improvements, however, drive lasting adaptations. They also value the eccentric phase of movements, the controlled lowering of the weight, which is particularly effective for stimulating muscle growth without overloading joints, and the results speak for themselves. A University of Alabama study followed seniors in their 70s who adhered to a progressive resistance program for just 12 weeks. By the end, these individuals gained an average of 3.3 pounds of muscle mass, increased their strength by 35%, and showed significant improvements in bone density, glycemic control, and even cognitive function. The biggest mistake many seniors make is believing that resistance training is dangerous, irrelevant, or unnecessary. Nothing could be further from the truth. Ignoring this practice allows muscle degradation to run its course, increasing the risk of falls, fractures, and loss of independence. On the contrary, starting even with light workouts, 2 30-minute sessions per week, can profoundly alter the course of aging. If there's one habit to adopt immediately, let it be this. Start progressive resistance training, guided by a qualified professional. Adjust the load to your current fitness level, learn proper technique, and progress safely. The human body, even after 70 or 80, remains incredibly responsive to the right stimulus. You don't need to apply all these strategies at once. Start with the habit that feels most feasible, easiest to implement in your daily life. And as you notice the results, gradually integrate the others. Longevity isn't an empty promise. It's available to anyone willing to care for their body with wisdom, science, and consistency. The super elderly aren't exceptions of nature. They're examples of choice. And the choice is now before you. If you've made it this far, it shows you're committed to your health and longevity. So comment below, which of these habits do you already practice? And which one surprised you the most? Share this video with someone who needs this information and help more people live with strength, independence, and vitality. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep receiving content like this. Remember, it's never too late to change the trajectory of your health. The time is now. The body you'll have tomorrow starts with the choices you make today.